Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Magic Hour. I'm your host, Majid Nderi, aka Magic Leb. Today, I have a returning guest. Malak is with us today. She's the bravest guest I ever had. Actually, she's the only guest I ever had, besides two or three other people. But she's the one that actually has the courage to come back as a returning guest to speak about the important things that are going on in this world. And I have to applaud her for her bravery. Because well, this is a topic that can get people indirectly in trouble. You know, even if I wore a shirt like this, if I went to certain places, I might start a riot for all I know. So I really want to thank you for being here. Happy New Year. Hope you had a good New Year. All right.
Happy as one can be.
Yeah, exactly right. As great as the holidays are, I couldn't enjoy it to its fullest. It's hard to enjoy it to its fullest. And I had my family over. My brother came from Dubai. He came with his kids, and it was great to see them, and we had fun. But it was just hard to appreciate these holidays. I mean, how can one want to celebrate or do anything the way they would used to, the way they would normally do when in the image in your head is like we got children that are dying, we got children that are starving, we got families that are struggling. We've got families that can't even get access to clean water or food. It's kind of hard for you to appreciate. To enjoy. I mean, I appreciate everything I have knowing that, but it's just hard to enjoy. A lot has happened in the last few months. It's been at least 3 months since we had our last podcast.
Oh wow, that long.
I think it's been that long. I'm not sure, but time does fly.
Yeah.
And so much has been going on. Trump is now president. I don't think anything has changed. The ceasefire has been implemented, but I don't think there has been a true ceasefire because just recently Israel did another bombing.
It's been 80 people since the ceasefire has been
There you
announced.
go.
80 deaths.
There you go.
80 murders, yep.
When Palestinians were allowed to return, there was a sea of Israeli people blocking them from wanting to return. I mean, what are they returning to? They've got nothing to return to.
There were people saying, I don't even know what street this is. I don't know where I am. It's just rebel.
Exactly right. That's all of it's rubble. They said it's going to take over 20 years to clear that up. 20 years, 2 decades. Just imagine that. That's a child's life from birth to adulthood.
Yeah.
It's going to take for them to clean that up. So the thing is, now they're not letting them go back to rubble. You know what I mean?
They're not even giving them that.
They're not even giving them rubble. You cannot have rubble, right? You're too low for rubble. That's basically what they're doing and saying. How much more disgusting ways can they treat people? I mean, how much further can you go? I'm no longer surprised. I'm no longer shocked. But this was just like, come on, guys.
Ben-Gvir quit his final speech while leaving the cabinet, said he was unhappy that the 8 trucks were being let back in.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is...
That was like your final speech saying, you know what, I'm quitting this cabinet because how dare Netanyahu allow 8 trucks go to starving people?
I always believed that he was the most evil out of the 3. Yeah, that he was the most evil. I mean, okay, Netanyahu's the face.
Yeah.
Okay, Netanyahu's the face, but he's got people that persuade him. I mean, the look on that man's face is just like haunting.
He's an Iraqi Kurd as well.
It's haunting. And I was surprised that he quit because this is the kind of person that you would believe would never want to give up that kind of power. I mean, but he could come back for all we know. We don't know. He could come back whenever if there's going to be a new prime minister in the next decade or so. I'm sure he'll be back, or maybe he will run.
That's
Prime
what
Minister.
a lot of the conversation has been about. They know Netanyahu's clock is ticking. He's got his own charges. The UN is after him, inshallah. We'll see what happens. And Ben-Gvir would be the best candidate for them.
And the worst for the world.
I mean, exactly. He echoes the sentiment of the Israeli population that within their own Haaretz newspapers, within their own population, they are anti these people living a life, having access to aid, medical aid, having access to homes. He echoes that sentiment. He echoes those people. So him leaving, it wasn't, I'm leaving this powerful position. It was, Netanyahu, you're a pussy. You listen to Trump. You listen to the American election. I'm not doing this. I'm more extreme than you. So I'm leaving and I'm coming back with worse.
That's scary. It's terrifying. It's been at least a year since they've issued the arrest warrant on Netanyahu. At least a year, right? And he visited the States again just recently.
Yep.
Now, I'm no lawyer, and I don't know the laws as well as I should know. But if there is a wanted fugitive or a wanted person, all right, and he visited a country that did not arrest him, is that not aiding and abetting? Is that not obstruction of justice? Is that not a guilty sign from the states? I mean, are they not just as guilty now as Netanyahu?
Yeah.
Right, and they should be brought to justice as well because they made it very, very clear that this man is wanted for war crimes and he needs to be brought in because now many countries have put what's the word I'm looking for? Well, the most countries have declared that if Netanyahu was to visit, he'll be arrested.
Yeah, they'll enforce
Right away.
warrants. Yeah.
So he's avoiding those countries, obviously.
Yeah.
And Matthew Miller, the press secretary douchebag, who was always saying something bad about what the ICC is doing, but once they found out that the ICC wanted to arrest Putin, they were all for it. Yes, we're encouraging the ICC. That what they're doing is fantastic, but we're going after Israel. No, what they're doing is wrong. It's horrible. It's
sanction.
like
We're going to sanction.
we're going to sanction them now. There shouldn't be. I know there's always going to be double standard, but there shouldn't be because they're basically telling the whole world we're allowed to do this. You're not allowed to do this.
And that's why the world is shifting. They expose their hypocrisy to the entire world. Just themselves. Like you said, Miller would come out and say one thing about Palestine, one thing about Ukraine, one thing about Russia. And the dumb American population is finally clicking and thinking, you know what? We're onto something here. And every time they open their mouths, every time they do a press conference, every time they get pressured, it's for the Americans to see. The rest of us know. This is not news to us.
No, it is not. It is not news to us
but
whatsoever.
Their own people have to turn against them. I've been saying this from the start and I'll say it again. Us from here cannot dismantle Israel or the United States of America. Their own people have to do it.
It has to be done from the inside out.
From the inside out, exactly.
See, we can't explode them. They need to be imploded in a way.
Exactly. It needs to. Their own people. January 6th should have happened with these people now. Not the insurrection of not Biden, not a president. These people need to wake the fuck up and see what is happening. Class consciousness. I don't think we've spoken since the Luigi situation.
Oh, the Italian guy that shot the CEO.
That was the first time in our lifetime, I would want to say, that the American population were united on a single issue. I've heard a bunch of analysis before where they said until 9/11, Americans no longer had people to hate. They actually started to have a class solidarity of like, oh my God, why is the government doing this to us? Why are we starving? Why do we have no access to healthcare? 9/11 happens, now they have a new enemy. The war on terror starts, that's a new enemy.
Yeah.
They got distracted. Trump comes into power. 2016 shifted so much. 2020, and now this again. Now, the Luigi situation, far right, far left, Americans, uneducated, apolitical, everyone in America noticed, like, you know what? This is fine. We're fine with this. Because what he did is violent, yes, but what these companies, these billionaires, they do is actually systemic violence. And that is something you and I and themselves cannot change by themselves.
Oh, they've got plenty of blood on their hands.
And that was like a moment that they clicked. It was one act. One guy did one thing and they kind of snapped into it. And that's why they're charging this boy with terrorism.
Yeah.
Not because of his action.
No, because his name is Luigi and he's Italian. If it was a guy named John Anderson and he was white as albino white even,
You know,
all right?
it's funny.
He was, that boy was just simply troubled. You know what I mean? He had mental issues.
This Palestinian comedian was saying the other day, he goes, up until 9/11, Italians were also brown.
Yeah.
And then 9/11 happened, they're like, nah, we're we're European, we're not this kind of brown.
Yeah.
And Luigi Mangione brought it back in.
Yeah.
I was saying, I will stop talking about white supremacy and white power in the West when class consciousness arises. And it happened with Luigi. He was a rich white boy. They treated him as such. But when he did this, now he's a brown terrorist.
Well, it's not surprising. This is not the first time that this has happened as well. Whenever white people commit any kinds of crime, terror crime, bombings or whatever, the white society completely distance themselves from that particular white person. Oh, he's not one of us. He doesn't represent us. No, it's never called terrorism. I mean, how many school shootings have there been at the hands of white children?
Not a single one has been labeled as a terror attack.
But if that's not a terrorist attack, shooting children with a freaking assault rifle or assault machine gun, if that's not a terrorist attack, I don't know what is. And I'm an Arab and I don't know what it is. You know what I mean? I mean, that's what makes it difficult. Like to them, terrorist attack is only when somebody blows themselves up and takes a bunch of people
And
with
it's
him.
someone named Muhammad.
Yeah,
That's
whatever.
it. That's it.
Yeah. Muhammad and Abdullah, the two very common Arab names. You have to be named those two names for you to be a terrorist. So it can't be a James Anderson or whatever.
Yeah.
But still, no. I think that's just ridiculous. People are waking up. Particularly Jewish people are waking up. I've been seeing a lot of videos on rabbis. Norman, what's his name? Norman Finkelstein. He's always been talking about this kind of thing for a long time.
This has been
spreading
his
the
life
message.
work.
It has been his life work. I think there's a speaker coming. His name is Gabe something. He's going to be coming here.
Yeah.
He's a very he's a former Zionist. He was a former Zionist who completely changed his perspective, which is not easy to do at all. And I think these are our strongest allies. I saw one video on the threads that this Jewish person was saying, we've been kicked out of so many countries. And he was comparing Jewish people getting kicked out of countries to a child who gets kicked out of every school he goes to. Right? Now, if your child gets kicked out of the first school, you're going to ask yourself, was it his fault or was it the school's fault? What happened there? But if that child continues to get kicked out of so many schools and the principal says, well, it's your child, that's the problem, not the school, right? What are you going to do about it? So the Jewish guy is saying, we got kicked out of so many countries, right? Is it us or is it the country? Right? It has to be us.
European countries.
Yeah, okay, but they still got kicked out.
No. This is another thing. Europe was annihilating and kicking Jewish people out. Hence, we got the Holocaust.
Yeah.
They were living amongst the Palestinians happily. They were living in Iraq happily. They live among us in that part of the world happily because that's where Judaism originated from. We did not kick them out. We did not go to synagogues and blow them up. That was an Israeli ploy. They went, if you know about the last 42 Jewish people that were left in Iraq, they did not want to leave. The Zionist project had started in Palestine. They went around saying, come, you have a homeland, come, you have... And Iraqis, they were Iraqis before they were Jewish because that's who we are. They were like, we're not going there. So they bombed the last synagogue left in Baghdad to say, see, they're trying to come after you. Come, we'll host you.
Okay.
That's the Zionist project.
See,
they bombed them out. They were our neighbors. They were our own people.
It's very interesting you're speaking about this because I read an article about Zionism. There's so many to read because I want to know as much as I could about it. During the whole World War II, how Germans were annihilating the Jewish and how they wanted them out. Zionists didn't want them there either. They didn't want Jewish people in Germany. They were actually also trying to force them out. All right, so they were actually for the Nazis because at the end they knew that this was all a ploy to get them to Palestine, which was their goal from the late 1900s when they were founded by
1800s.
Was it 1800s?
Yeah,
I thought it was the early 1900s. No. Okay, by Theodore or something. That's the one. All right. So anyway, after all of this, with all the power that they have gotten, with all the manipulation that they have done, the way they've concealed their lies for over a century, which is now starting to come out, Israel...
to know, fully funded by the British Empire and then the American Empire after.
Of course, yeah.
That is all it was.
Yeah.
The British started it and it
America took over.
And the Americans took over.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was.
I believe now, Israeli Zionism, they are panicking in a huge way, which is why they are so close to potentially achieving, to pass a law where it is going to be forbidden for anybody to criticize Israel. Like, bad enough, they've already got the world by the balls. They do. They got the world. They've got the whole world.
That's imperialism.
All right, they've got the whole world. But because even their own people, I wouldn't say their own people, because Jewish people who they believe that they are their allies, they would believe, all Jewish people who don't live in Israel are our brothers and sisters. But they don't feel that way because, and being an Israeli and being Jewish, they don't have anything in common except for the supposed holy land, which is only holy because they say so, not because anybody else says so. So when they see their own people talking or criticizing what Israel is doing, they are automatically being labeled as, oh, you're a self-hating Jew.
Yep.
It's got nothing to do with being Jewish, you dumbass. I don't like what you are doing to these people. That's got nothing to do with religion whatsoever. You are treating these people bad, and you are using my religion to perpetuate that. This is wrong. And because the sad thing is, there's too many people on this earth that believe that being Jewish and being Zionist go hand in hand. They actually believe it. They say, I'm a Jew. I agree with what they're doing to the Palestinians. Because they're speaking from a Zionist point of view, but they're using the word Jew, which is completely wrong. Now, the first question I was asking is, why are they doing this? Why are they want to passing the law, and why are they getting the Americans to fall for it so easily to pass the law to make it illegal to criticize Israel, which could be punishable by going to prison if you said something bad about Israel?
And you know what's crazy? They're not passing anything that you cannot within America that you cannot criticize the American government.
Yeah.
It's only an external foreign government to you. What does that say to their own people? What does that say? Like, you can say, fuck Donald Trump, fuck this president, but Netanyahu can't open my mouth.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree. See, it's a very childish thing. Like, I don't want to get off topic here, but I want to. But when I first heard about this, it reminded me of an episode of South Park. After the Scientology episode, when they made fun of Tom Cruise got really upset about it. They brought Tom Cruise back as a character on South Park, where he wants to be immune to be made fun of.
Oh.
Okay, all right, and at that time, the only person that you shouldn't make fun of because the world would get upset was the Prophet Muhammad, because there was that cartoon back in Norway or Holland that started a lot of controversy, right? Now, in the early episodes of South Park, there was this episode called Super Best Friends, where all these prophets get together and they become superhero fighters. And Muhammad was one of those characters.
Okay.
And they showed Muhammad.
Okay.
All right, and it was fine. Nobody said anything. But after that cartoon came out and that whole controversy came out, all right, all the celebrities that were made fun of, including Tom Cruise and all the others, they got together to be immune. So and there was an episode where Muhammad was supposed to appear, but they put a big censorship on him, like he can't be made fun of, he's untouchable. So what the celebrities wanted was what Muhammad had. You can't make fun of Muhammad. I don't want to be made fun of just like Muhammad. All right. So they create this machine where a bit of the ooze from Muhammad goes into the bodies of the celebrities, and then they all become censored. You see a censor sign on them.
That is insane.
You know, so they can't be made fun of. You know, like they were so childish that they couldn't take jokes or whatever. They couldn't take the ridicule, like everybody else takes ridicule, that they censored themselves. You cannot make fun of me anymore. I am now censored. I got the juice of Muhammad, who can't be made fun of. Now I can't be made fun of like Muhammad. All right, I don't know if you haven't seen that episode.
No, I haven't seen.
It was hysterical because what happens is you see censored bodies running around. You know, because
that is hilarious.
Right? And then you see one censored person. All right, who's he's like a replica of Aquaman. They call him Seaman. Okay, all right, and he jumps on another censored body. But now us as viewers, we can't tell who they are, but the characters that are not censored can tell who the characters are. And then one of the characters says, "Hey, look, Tom Cruise has got semen on his back." All right, you know what I mean? All right, and then the censored beings, they stop, and then all the censorship gets off them, right? Because they still were made fun of, all right? And it goes, oh no, it didn't work. They're making fun of us again, all right? So like this is just as ridiculous. You cannot make fun of me. I want to censor myself. I want to put a big black censor sign on me so that you can't say anything about my country, what I am, and what I do, and what our people do. What is the purpose of them wanting to push this law so badly? What is the purpose? Is the purpose because they are starting to realize, shit, they're seeing us for what we really are. It's getting harder and harder more every year to conceal our lies, to hide the truth from people. Because they've always been lying to justify their atrocities, and they've always used Judaism to commit, well, they've been hiding behind Judaism to commit the crimes with total immunity. They've already got immunity. They've got everything.
They use anti-Semitism as a shield.
Genocide. They got away with the genocide.
Literally.
The genocide is, I wouldn't say it's basically over. But it's
ongoing.
It's still ongoing. It's not as strong as it was a few months ago. But who was brought to justice? No one. They got away. I keep seeing videos. Israel was defeated. They lost the war against whatever. Well, first of all, it's not a war, but they lost. They keep saying they were defeated. They were defeated. If you want to say that they didn't get rid of Hamas, then you can say they were defeated. But getting rid of Hamas is like saying I want to win the war on drugs. It's impossible. You cannot do it. You know what I mean? Even if they took out all the head people, like fingernails, they're gonna grow. Right? If anything, in 20 years' time, Hamas is going to be 10 times stronger than it is today because all those orphan children.
Yeah, Blinken's final speech before the end of the presidency, he literally said Hamas's number are now bigger than they were before October 7th.
Exactly right. But when they say that Israel lost, what did they lose? If you think about it, what did they lose?
Oh my
800.
God,
all right?
they lost.
No, they lost. They lost.
lost.
Okay, but if you compare the loss of lives,
Oh, that's what we can't talk about. That
You know?
the loss of life. They, like you said, this is not a war. It's the loss of innocent human lives,
Yeah.
innocent civilians that had nothing to do with anything, and then their soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
Compare their soldiers' losses, all their captains, all their armor. 120 bulldozers they wiped out from the announcement of the ceasefire until now. So America has to send them. The resistance had bombed every single one. They thought they are so safe. Israel has lost, first of all, the public immunity in the world. They can no longer ever again hide behind Judaism. I'm doing this. They lost that. The entire world knows about it. They lost the media.
Definitely.
They lost the young people. Young people, we get targeted so much in marketing. Young people, you target them always in marketing because once you have a 14-year-old teenager like so cemented in ideology, you have a customer for life. This is in marketing. Use that the same way with propaganda. If they can convince millions of young people across the world, we're doing this in the name of Judaism, only Jewish people are safe here, all of this, they've been doing this for 78 years. They've succeeded. But now they lost that. Young people are the hardest people that are pro-Palestine. They lost public support. The UN is no longer in their pocket. The UN is going after them. They are in debt to the World Bank. Their credit score is going down. No one is investing in Israel. Their their tourism sector all gone.
Oh yeah, a lot of countries have banned
It is not a loss.
Israeli tourism.
We're not talking just in war numbers. They have lost in every aspect. Their government is crumbling. They're strong. Netanyahu had power because he had a coalition of parties. They're leaving him. They're falling apart. They are infighting amongst themselves. They are losing in every front. Then the resistance stronger.
Okay,
the support from the world stronger.
You can't really say Palestine won. I mean, Palestine resisted as best
Winning,
they could.
they are winning.
You know,
It's non-stop.
but if you just look at what happened to Gaza, it's just all their homes, all the hospitals, like they lost in other ways. They lost their home, they lost their medicine, they lost everything, they lost their schools, their education.
Our spirit and the Palestinian spirit, this is not the end.
Oh no! When you say spirit,
lost,
what's the name of that defense? Not defense minister. The not giver. This other guy, Galant, I think his name is.
Golan.
He was so angry to see Palestinians celebrating.
Yes.
Like, we want to take away their happiness.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like it wasn't bad enough they took away everything that you can take away from a person. Like, I felt like they wanted to destroy their spirit. It's like you cannot destroy that. That is something you cannot take away.
And that's what it is. And that's what we are not losing.
Yeah.
That's what the Palestinians are not losing.
And they are
that
furious.
Fight. Exactly.
And they are furious. How can they still be happy and celebrating? They're supposed to be miserable. We're making them miserable. They're supposed to be miserable. Yeah. It's as if they're saying, you have this that we do not have. Yes. We have everything and we can't get that smile when you've lost everything.
Yes.
All right? You've lost your family, you've lost your school, you've lost your home, yet you're still smiling and celebrating that it's over. We have the world by the balls and we're still upset. Why? That's the one thing they can't have. You know what? This is what separates human beings from demonical beings.
Yeah, exactly.
These people are demonic. They are demons. I have a theory. You can call it science fiction. You can call it supernatural. But I honestly believe that Israeli people are not human beings. They are demonic beings escaped from hell. And I'm just waiting for Satan to come back to collect them. All right? I'm waiting for the devil to come up and say, what are you guys doing here? You escaped. I took a nap and this is where you come to. Come back here.
There is no way normal human beings get upset because 8 trucks are going into safe people.
You can't.
That's
demonic.
That is not a normal human being.
That is demonic.
And that's what they don't have. That soul, the soul, ruh,
that
the Palestinians
soulless.
have, they will never understand that.
That's
what I'm saying. They have not lost. People, as soon as they said, go back to Gaza, go back to the north, people were running back home. The loss, it's materialistic. A home is something materialistic. It's bricks that you can put back together.
Yeah.
What they have not lost is the freedom, the will to resist, the spirit to keep resisting and fighting. And the Israelis will never understand that because they don't have that.
No.
They got to where they are through violence, through atrocities and genocide.
Domination and bribing.
And that's not justice. That's not the reality of the world. That's not how people gain their freedom.
And they have all the freedom in the world, and they are still somehow unsatisfied.
Because it's not their land.
You know,
they didn't earn it. It's not. When you are building homes on top of mass graves of Palestinians, inshallah, they'll never find happiness.
Oh, they can't.
The spirits
They can't.
of the evil that they've done on these lands will always haunt them.
And they feel that by eradicating a race that possesses an attribute they can't have would somehow make them feel livid, happy about it. Like, okay, now that they don't have it, it doesn't matter that we don't have it. Just as long as they don't have it, right? Then it's okay if we don't have it. Now
when they were releasing prisoners back to the West Bank, like the IDF went to homes of like people, families. They said, "You're not allowed to celebrate. You're not allowed to do anything." They literally went to say, "You are not allowed to celebrate the release of prisoners." They literally criminalize joy. They criminalize happiness. They criminalize people being reunited with their families decades later.
Okay, so not only do they want to make a law that criticizing Israel is illegal, now they want to try to enforce that you're not allowed to be happy if you are released.
They've done that so many times.
Many times. If a person was wrongfully accused and spent 10 years in jail, and they realize, oh shit, we put him in jail for all the wrong reasons, it wasn't him or her, and they let him out after 10 years, that person not allowed to dance or be happy when they get out?
Literally.
You know that?
And that's why they were livid when they saw the prisoners come out, and all of Gaza came out to embrace them. The West Bank came out to embrace everyone. They cannot comprehend that. They cannot comprehend the joy and the support that they have for each other.
That is completely insane to a degree that I don't even want to try to comprehend. What does this mean? What do you think it would mean if by some horrible miracle that they actually pass this law and it becomes an international law? Not just a law that's happening in the States, but apparently the liberals here, they want to push that as well. They want to make it a law here in Australia. If you say anything bad about Israel, it could be punishable by imprisonment. What will this mean? What do you think this will mean if they succeeded passing this law?
In America, political freedom of speech and political association is a constitutional right for them. So, and Americans, they love to speak about their constitution. I've got this and I've got that. So for them to pass that, they're going to have to go against their own morals, against their own, I'm not saying morals.
So it's like self-contradicting.
Self-contradicting. And that's what I'm saying. The Americans will start realizing this. Even your rednecks that don't care about politics, don't care about Palestinians or brown people being blown up, when they see things like this, it should start clicking. Why am I being just told I cannot criticize this one random country across the world, but I can criticize my own American government, and same will be here. I can go around and I say, fuck Albanese 10 times in the mirror every day, by the way, and I'm fine. But Israel, I can't criticize. And this is where we have to come together and think, why is our government so intertwined with these people? What are they trying to protect by silencing us? And then you see what has been happening for the past 16 months. The student uprising, in every turn in history, every war, the apartheid of South Africa, the Iraqi war, the students rose up and fought against it. And at our universities, with time, they're more and more and more intertwined with weapon companies that relate, once again, to Israel. You see that. You see the protest industry. People are so aware. Everyone knows what's happening. You cannot hide it anymore. You can't tell me you walk around and people don't know what Palestine is anymore.
No,
It is in everyone's face. It is in workplaces. It is in schools. It is in families. It is in homes. People are just becoming aware of it. And when Peter Dutton comes out and said, we will stop anyone from speaking about this, we should start understanding something is not right. We have direct ties monetarily, societally, through the UN. That's all related back to Israel. And if we're seeing this and we're going to sit back and let them do it, what's going to come next? You can't speak about Israel. Next, it will be you cannot speak about the government here.
It'll start a chain reaction of so many horrible laws, unjust laws. Like it'll get to the point of complete anarchy. I mean, I believe a lot of people just commit crimes out of frustration. There'll be vandalism crimes. Like the one thing that I know about American people.
That's the thing for me. Vandalism is not a crime, but
but they will. But I'm just saying, like, I'm not just talking about graffiti. I'm talking about throwing rocks through windows and destroying businesses and whatever, just because they can. The one thing about Americans is, like, Americans don't like to be told what not to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, and they always start that horrible. They always start a sentence with this horrible saying, "I'm an American. I'm an American." Like that. Like that's some kind of privilege. You know what I mean? All right. Like, I'm an American. I'm allowed to rape people. I'm an American. You know what I mean?
You know,
all right. So
we were like a couple of weeks before the elections. I was catching up with a friend. One is Mexican and one is a person of color. and we're sitting down and we were talking about, oh my God, how are you going? I was like, can't wait for the American elections to be over. So America gets who they deserve. So they get a president that they deserve. Okay, a conversation between us. And next to me, I'll get interrupted. Excuse me, I'm an American and I find what you said offensive. I was like, what did I say that was offensive? She goes, actually, first of all, I'm a Democrat. I was like, that's worse. Okay, your Democratic Party is committing a genocide in Palestine. I don't know what you're bragging about. And she goes, I just think it's really offensive that you're sitting here and saying that we should get an awful president, someone that we deserve. And she goes to me, are you even an American? Do you even know what it's like? I was like, I'm an Iraqi refugee and I was made a refugee because of your government. And she goes, I just think it's very unfair that you speak about us this way. I was like, it's not unfair. Your government is committing crimes and you just interrupted my conversation to try and make a point for yourself.
It's obvious she's one of those types of Americans that hasn't realized how much the world hates the US.
No. Worst part. She couldn't reply to me. She was literally staring at me and I was like, and now what? Like after, wallah, she was silent for like 30 seconds, dead silence. I was looking at her, I was like, now what? Turns to her husband, she's like, babe, we need to leave. They leave their meal and drinks and she gets up and leaves.
If you really wanted to
Because she couldn't tell me, go back to your country because she's also an American.
Yeah.
She couldn't tell me, you can't speak about my government. I just did.
Yeah.
They cannot comprehend that people fucking hate them across the world.
Yeah.
And that being a Democrat doesn't mean shit.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And as far as who the president comes, I honestly believe that the American people's vote does not matter because Israel bought their president long before the elections even began. But that's just a different issue. If you really wanted to piss her off saying you're just an extension of Israel, there is no more America because there is no more America.
I didn't even need to get to that. She got hurt that we were discussing the presidency.
Boo frickety who, okay?
Literally, she
all
got
right. Then try to pass the law that nobody can make fun of her. All right. Put a censored sign on your body, on your face. So that if we can leave you the hell alone if that's what you want. Now, you know how during the genocide, when all these horrible things were happening on a daily basis, and we feel that we couldn't do anything because we literally couldn't do anything. I mean, the best thing that we could do is you can protest, you can try to make awareness, you can put even something as small as this podcast that hardly anybody would ever see. Right? I just feel like it's some kind of a contribution to show something. But the other day, it really hit me. Like, I think one of the biggest blows that us as civilians can do to help the fight against Zionism, and I think it's a very difficult feat to achieve, but I want to know if it can be achievable, is why don't we try to find a way to get a petition signed in order to educate children for a subject called Palestinian studies or Palestine studies.
Oh my God, good luck.
Yeah, okay, good luck. I know it's wishful thinking, but you know who's already doing this? China. China has implemented Palestinian studies, and they are also implementing the birth of Zionism and how it's changed the world.
Yes, China.
Okay?
Let's go.
Now, this is in China.
Yeah.
All right? Which is terrific because China's got a huge population. That population's about to get schooled. Now, how difficult would it be for us to try to get this, at least to be aware? If we can somehow get a message saying we need schools to learn the history. Truth. We don't want to be biased. We don't want to just...
Yeah, literally.
We don't want to just say, if we're going to teach Palestinian studies, it's not going to be like, you have to love Palestine or you are a bad person. No. It's got nothing to do with that. We don't want to trick people. We don't want to guilt people. We don't want to do anything like that. We just want to teach them...
We don't even have to.
No.
History speaks for itself.
It's historical fact.
Yeah.
All right? It's historical fact. And this should not be a controversial subject. It shouldn't be. I mean, how long did it take for America to finally grant Black Americans Black History Month? You know what I mean? It took a long time.
Trump literally just cancelled it.
Well, he canceled Black History Month?
He literally cancelled Martin Luther King Day.
What?
They cancelled celebrations. Nothing's getting funded for it. We are turning into fascism. It's happening in front of our eyes.
Is it 1962 again? You know,
it's
I mean,
the
like
40s. We are living in
we're living in the 40s now.
We are living in the history books of the 40s.
Okay.
Literally this morning, I read it before I came.
Okay, see, I see. This is news to me. I did not know about this whatsoever. All right. So now, don't you think, with something like this being taken away, that we should do something to really fight for something like this? This is a good cause. This is something that maybe we as citizens can be capable of doing. There's an education department. There's a lot of there's a lot of educators who are in politics. You know, I mean, how hard would it be to try to convince just one of them to at least consider it? And how can we implement it? It should be studied in universities, not just in schools. But this should be a big part. People study politics in university. This should be one of the biggest topics in politics.
This was literally what I studied, international relations, and Palestine is what I fought every time. Like, you are in university, it's you versus 20 other liberal kids that are pro-Israel.
Yeah, okay.
Like, that's what we were working with. This was like 3-4 years
All
ago.
right, but you know what? This is still a good educational experience.
Yeah.
You know, because if it's in uni, you know it's in the outside world as well.
Yeah.
All right. But if we push for Palestinian history, all right, let alone Arab history, you know, Lebanese history, all that, the entire region, along with Zionism. Who founded Zionism? Theodore Herzl. What is Zionism? All right. Why was it founded? For what purpose? A lot of people don't know much about Zionism. They do not know much about it. They think Zionism is just an extension of Judaism. They don't know that
it's a political aspect of Judaism.
You know, because they promised every Jewish person in the world a promised land or whatever. Yeah. Okay, I bet you there's millions of people that don't know that Zionism worked hand in hand with Nazism. I bet you that Jewish people worked with Nazis. You know, they call themselves Jewish people that worked with Nazis to make life worse for the Jews.
Like I said, we all have people among us that will work for the other side. Ben Gvir is an Iraqi Kurd. Like, what are we talking about? Do you know what I mean?
See, the thing is, this is not implemented.
It doesn't get talked about.
It doesn't get talked about, and it should.
Let me give a shout out that you mentioned this. Teachers for Palestine. There are teachers here in South Australia that started a group. There are educators in school. There are at university. There are teachers assistants. They started a group where they're trying to get something off the ground like this. They're trying to get some educational classes. But this is not to be pessimistic or anything. This is the reality of the world. The education department has a portfolio under Albanese's government. And there's no way they're passing anything that's going to be mandatory Palestine classes in the next 10 years. There is not going to be a single thousands of petitions with thousands of names on it that will convince them to do this. Because like I said, they're canceling TikTok for this because young people are becoming aware. Albanese implementing an age for people, minimum age to be on the internet because people are becoming aware. Do you think he's going to hand it to them like this in schools?
No, the thing, about the whole age thing, I personally believe, but not from a political point of view, I personally believe that children under 16 should not be in social media that much.
I agree with you.
You know,
but that's not why he did it. That's not what they've done. This research about social media, since I was a teenager, this was coming out. Don't be on the internet too much. It's harmful, da-da-da-da. Fair enough. Why is it now that's getting implemented?
Yeah, well, because TikTok was something that Israel did not expect.
Did you know what Blinken described it as? And Wallah, he lives here. He said TikTok is like Al Jazeera on crack 24/7.
Oh yeah, right. Oh, okay. So that's a compliment. That's a compliment.
It is a compliment.
You know why? Because they are telling the truth all the time. So if they're on crack and telling the truth.
So he said Al Jazeera on crack 24/7, and he goes, it is at the palm of their hands that they can access that information anytime. Because TikTok, you scroll. But if your For You page and what you curate it and what you're going after is political content, it is hundreds of people that are pro-Palestine giving you all the angles of what's happening, and all the news on the spot.
And don't you think because all of this is happening, because they want to ban truth, that having a petition to teach today's generation for the next 20, 30 years would be a devastating blow to them?
You know what? Just like what they did with the Nazis, it's going to take them 40 years to say, oh my God, we were so wrong. We should have helped the Jewish people in Germany. You know what? To say sorry, let's teach it in schools now. Yeah. It's not going to happen in our lifetime. It might happen in your grandchildren's lifetime.
Yeah, that's a long time.
We will never see it now.
Well, but
there is no way in hell Albanese will get it for his education portfolio being put in front of him, and he agrees.
Well, how long have Black Americans tried to fight for their civil rights? It took them forever.
They still
long
are.
time.
They still
time.
are.
All right, and they still are, but they got civil rights. Okay, and it took them so long just to get a piece of that.
Trump just reversed it.
Okay, but okay.
He reversed equal opportunity. I forgot the name of the act. He literally reversed it. So now you can get not hired, you cannot be access services based on your race, gender, ethnicity, religion, politics.
I want to make this perfectly clear because America has got a lot of hatred, all right, toward they got a lot of hatred towards who they think the enemy is. Yeah. But they need to know that
it's displaced.
It's displaced hatred. because a lot of new research has shown that the power of Zionism, since they control the media, news, and politics, all right, it has people forget about the USS Liberty. Have you heard about USS Liberty? It's an American Navy ship that was patrolling in Egypt. All right, in 1967, which the Israeli fighter planes deliberately targeted. Deliberately, they knew it was a USS ship, but they still targeted them. Anyway, they were the responsible of the USS Liberty. All right, so a lot of evidence has been shown that they are also responsible for the JFK assassination, which explains a lot because nobody's taken any accountability for that assassination. Anybody that was involved were either bought or murdered. Till this day, they've kept those files locked and secret. Till this day. And who do you know that can commit such a crime and get away with it? Okay. Again, people say that they were the brains behind the 9/11 attack, but then again, that's still speculation. Now, and of course, I believe they elected Trump and in exchange for Trump to help them take the West Bank, which is why Trump is trying to force Jordan and Egypt to take the displaced Palestinians.
Did you see Egypt with the tanks at the moment?
No, I did not.
So the what's it called? The Philadelphia crossing. Egypt has tanks facing towards it. If Israelis are going to start forcing people out, Egypt are not going to let them.
Okay, well...
So at CC, he's doing something.
Okay, well...
Maybe something.
If Trump is so concerned about these displaced Palestinians, why don't America take them? America was responsible, was complicit in displacing these Palestinians by the tens of thousands. Trump, take them. You made them homeless. Give them a home. Give them Texas.
No. Give the Israelis Texas.
Exactly.
If
all
they're
that.
So, oh my God, poor people living next to terrorists. Take them out.
I want to see how happy the Americans will take it. How the Texans will take it.
Yeah, 7 million Israelis. Let's take them. Let's take these refugees.
Can you just imagine how the Americans will react if that ever did happen? If they called it New Jerusalem and they put it in the heart of Texas.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? Or the Gulf of Mexico. The Gulf of America now. They want to change the Gulf of Mexico to be called the Gulf of America. And he wants to make Canada the 51st state. All right? Isn't that what he's trying to do now? All right? I can understand things getting out of control, but I didn't think it would get to stupidity. This is just beyond anything I can fathom. We also have another ally, George Galloway, who said, and I quote, Zionism and Nazism are on two sides of the same coin. They go hand in hand. Now, again, being against Israel doesn't necessarily mean that you are against Jewish people. A lot of people have to understand that. A lot of people have to really not continuously fight us to say that. You can't call us anti-Semite if we're making an opinion saying that Israel and Jews are two separate things entirely. So this is why I believe education is the first most difficult step, but it is a devastating blow because it would reveal truth. It will tell truth. And you know what? There are countries in time that have committed such crimes that they have apologized for, and they admitted their accountability. They said that we were wrong, and now we want to strive for something better. That's respectful. Okay? That is respectful. I still haven't heard any president apologizing for slavery. You know what I mean?
Oh it happened so long ago. Why were you talking about it?
It's like they don't want to acknowledge that what they did was wrong.
Because if they acknowledge it, they have to actually go and face the descendants of these people and then pay reparations.
So what?
And they'll never do that.
You know what? Stop giving Israel money for 10 years. That's reparations for every African American.
Oh my God, it would blow their mind.
Yeah, but the thing is, that money will go to the right people. All right. And if you saw the Chappelle show, that money will go straight back to the Americans because of the way the stereotype of how black people spend money. All right, it'll just go straight back. But they can. But if they did apologize, and America can truly be a great country. It can truly be a great nation if they just cut their ties off completely with Israel, and all that money they give them.
That's not their only problem.
No.
That's not.
But it was one main problem. But just think about this. If all the money they give to Israel every year, if they stopped it for 10 years and all that money they give to Israel and they pumped it into their own states and they spread the money equally to all 50, potentially 51 states, all right, every year for the next 10 years, do you know how much America will flourish? They can wipe out homelessness. They can create jobs. They can create better healthcare. All right, so many benefits can happen for the U.S. All right, I mean, this will be
beneficial.
This will be a country that people would want to go to visit and to live in if they can do that, but they can't. I don't know why they can't. They can, but they choose not to. All right, so this is why I believe education is the way to go. Now, okay, because criticizing Israel is going to be called the hate speech law. So hate speech. So if I say I hate Asian people, all right, that's a hate speech. Would that fall into I hate Israeli people? All right, what China is doing is wrong. All right, it's not hate speech, but what Israel is doing is wrong. You're just changing the word China to Israel. That's hate speech. So they're being very vague about what hate speech law is. All right, it's only hate speech if you talk about this country. Everything else is acceptable or
criticize
tolerable.
Your government is fine. Criticize other people. Be a bigot. Be a racist. That's completely fine. But Israel, don't you dare.
They said they're creating the speech to protect them from the many enemies that they have made. Okay? Because they have made so many enemies. All right? They've killed them, so many of them, but they're afraid they're going to say something bad about them. Not that we're going to come and kill you, all right? But you're going to have horrible, terrible hair. You know what I mean? All right? So they're afraid of that. I mean, I just can't accept the ridiculousness of this situation. All right, that they would I'm never surprised at how low they can go, but I think this one got me. I was surprised with this one. I was like, I was kind of shocked with this one, and I promised myself I'm never going to get shocked with what Israel does, because like if they bomb babies, I'm not shocked. That's what they do. Yeah. But this just doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
That's what I'm saying. This is the first time that the West is seeing the West for being the hypocritical, imperialistic powers that they are. That's it.
Realistically,
people are seeing it.
Realistically, I don't see this happening. I don't see how they can implement this law because, like we talked about earlier, it's self-contradictory to their constitution. Yeah. All right. Even Australians, people in everything, all Western countries, they'll be like, "Who the fuck are you to tell me that? You know, who the hell are you?" If they did pass this law, rioting. I honestly believe there will be an uprising. There will be something's going to happen. All right, and it's not going to be pretty.
The revolution, the writing of all of this, what's
overthrowing a government, maybe. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But this, I don't know I don't know what to compare this to. I don't know how to compare this to anything.
We are witnessing insane new things. That's it. Like, it's not. This is incomparable to anything else.
Again, that's why the whole South Park analogy was the best thing I can compare it to, because
this is insane.
Because South Park is a fictional show, comedy show, where outrageous things happen in this land that cannot be real, which is why we laugh at it because it's fictitious. But that is turning into a reality, which is why we can't comprehend it, because it's not supposed to belong in reality. Yeah. It can belong in a show. We can laugh at the fantasy, all right? But now they are taking this and they're trying to force it into our daily lives, which is redonkulous in ways that I just can't, and I can't fathom it. I just don't know.
I was trying to get my husband to watch Black Mirror with me the other day. He's never watched it. And I was trying to explain one of the episodes to him, the one where everyone is like in a room, they've got screens that get like all around you. You wake up, you have to like play in a game to make like real life, you earn food in real life and water and whatever. And I'm explaining this story to him and he's like to me, why do you want me to watch that when our reality is worse? And this show came out 2016, 2017. And when it came out, I was like, oh my God, this is so crazy. And I'm explaining to him, he's like, this is literally where we are right now. Like, you are on the internet. They want you to be on the internet because your attention and your money is power. That's how they control us. And he goes to me, this show is becoming real life. What's happening in these fictitious, like, sci-fi shows is literally our reality. So he goes, I'm not watching this show when I can just go on the internet, watch something, read the news. Like, yeah, this is it. Yeah. This is as crazy as it will ever be. I started watching also a Family Guy for the first time.
For the first time?
For the first time. I've never watched Family Guy before.
Oh, no. You've been missing out.
I am obsessed, first of all.
Of course you are.
Seth, oh my God. They hate Israel. Can I just say, they hate Israel.
Well, they don't pull punches, all right? But they also make fun of Arabs too.
But this is the humor that I love.
But
it is funny, it is hilarious, but their political punches, it is so self-aware. And I understand it now. Like, Peter is the butt of the joke. It's not like we love this character. He is the worst character that you can ever get. and the show is just catering to like the American
the
mentality.
ignorance. Yeah.
Like how everyday American families function.
Then you're gonna love
And
American
it
Dad.
Is, oh my god, that's literally someone said that to me. Like, if you think you love this, watch American Dad.
American Dad never would have been invented if it wasn't for Bush being president.
Okay.
If Bush wasn't president, there would be no American Dad. I can tell you that right now. Because the first 2 seasons, it was based around the whole terror alert, the orange, yellow, whatever.
Yeah.
The main character, he had the terror alert on his refrigerator magnet. All right, what color are we on today? We're on yellow. Okay, it's like that. You know what I mean? All right. And who introduced this whole terror thing? Bush. Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, and it's a very funny show because the father is a CIA agent.
Okay.
That's where the comedy comes from.
Yeah.
And it is golden. It's really terrific. If you think American Dad is just as great and as strong as Family Guy.
Okay.
Even though Family Guy's been around a lot longer, but ideally they're just great. Even Americans, they're finding all the faults and they're turning it into comedy gold. Yeah. This is their way of expressing truth.
That's
through
art
comedy.
for us.
It is.
That is what we can express.
Now, what would happen if this law passed? There'll be no Family Guy. There'll be no American Dad. There'll be no nothing. They won't be able to make. They won't be able to make jokes about it. Every comedian will be silenced. Every movie that they make will be silenced. What if somebody wants to make a film or a short film about somebody's life in Palestine? All right. So the scene where the Israeli comes to rape him. Oh, you can't do that. You can't say that. You can't. We're censored ourselves. Again, back my reference to South Park, where George Lucas and Steven Spielberg were redoing their movies to make it better, all right? But what they do is they've changed it to a point where it's ridiculous. Saving Private Ryan, we've changed all machine guns to walkie-talkies, all right? So they're in the battlefield and they've got walkie-talkies and shooting with walkie-talkies. They removed the guns. It's like they're trying to hide what really happened, all right? So what they're trying to do, I think this is their ploy. For future references, you can't say this about us. Even if it's a true story, you are forbidden to tell it.
I feel like we are living through 1984, like the George Orwell book of it's the censorship. So I don't know if you've read it. The book starts with like this character who's living in like Britain post-censorship era, where thoughts are illegal. Wow. Literally, thoughts become illegal. Some things, and then media. You mentioned media. Media is being stripped away. You are only seeing and accessing things that they're showing you. Okay. You have no access to the outside world. You cannot think for yourself, to the point where they strip away their language. The language to the point where love cannot be described in a multitude of ways. You have the one word, hate, bad, good. They strip everything down to like this core skeleton format of what things are meant to be. And media is a huge part of that. What we consume, how we think. Like, I genuinely think Family Guy is a great setting for Americans to be critical because it looks dumb. It's a bit funny, but it's got the punches, the political punches, things that make you think. But you can't talk to Americans like this. No, you have to give them something funny, cartoons.
They have to be communicated in a way.
And it goes back to education. Not to fault them. This is my own beef towards them. They don't have their literacy rate in America is like 60%.
Oh, no, they're hopeless. The educational system is hopeless,
and that's for a reason. That's on purpose.
If we can get this, if we can introduce a way for schools to teach Palestinian studies, I'm not expecting this to happen in America. This will never happen there for the next 3,000 years, and I don't care. I don't need it to happen in America. The world can live without USA. USA can't live without the world. If we can just get at least. If we can get other countries, big countries, to do this first, America will lose its grip on them in a huge way. All right, it's happening now. So, which is why, if the iron is hot, you strike. If we can do this,
I think
what would be the first step?
I don't think we need to focus on shift our focus on. Maybe we should get into schools. It's happening because we have the internet.
Okay, no, all right. Internet is one thing. Okay, I mean, okay, fine, but internet, children or whoever who use the internet will want to visit this by choice, right? Okay, which is a good thing because they will learn more and get more out of it.
Yeah.
But there are people that are completely oblivious. They need to be introduced to it. People don't go on the internet to learn math. You know what I mean? They are introduced to math, and a lot of people hated math, but it's essential. I'm sorry, it's essential. You need math.
It's true.
English and math is what you need in the real world.
Yeah.
All right, everything else is optional. in my opinion. All right, but if you want to be a scientist, you got to get well and do well in chemistry and biology, and God knows what other subject that come along with it. I'm not asking that they need to be professional about this kind of thing, but they need to be knowledgeable about this kind of thing. All right, to me, this is just as important as the discovery of Australia. You know, when James Cook, I'm just saying, when James Cook declared, it's common knowledge, right? It's common knowledge. All right. Well, this should be just as important. As people need to know the truth. People need to know what happened. And when we were kids, we were taught that he was a very brave man, James Cook. Who discovered Australia.
I was 16 when I came, and I did never believe that.
No. But we were kids. They taught us when we were at the 3rd grade.
Yeah.
If we were, I know you were saying that it's already being done. People are being more aware. But if we did want to try to implement a study or a topic or a subject at any school, what would be the first step? Would it be a government step? Do we have to talk to an educator that's part of a political party? Like,
I'm actually not sure.
This is definitely something that I want to investigate. And this is something that I really want to try to get people like you who protest, people that think the way we are currently thinking, people that believe that what we believe, to try to get together to see what can be done. Like, even if they don't implement it in schools, is there a law against opening up a time, say 1 hour a week, to enter a home or a hall where we can teach this for free?
Well, funny you should ask that. I'm working on a project like that.
Really?
I'm working on, this is, and I would never get to that point, the after-school program from the Black Panthers.
Oh.
Where they knew in schools, it's literally what you're saying, they knew in schools they're not teaching them Black history, about slavery, about where they came from. So the Black Panthers took it upon themselves to open programs during weekends, after school, kids that couldn't go to school. This is obviously during and just post-segregation time. They opened classes that would teach these kids the history of where they came from. You were kings and you were queens, and we came from these places, and we came here through slavery, and we've been enslaved for 300 years, and this is how we made it here today. So it was a community-led initiative that they ran themselves, because we cannot rely on the system to do it for us. So what I'm trying to do with young people my age, Palestinians, Arabs, non-Muslims, non-Arabs, people literally from all across that it's for humanity above everything else. It is for humanity. But we're trying to get a program running, same thing, either after school, during weekends, to get people together and not just be sit down, listen to me talk, open discussions.
Yeah.
If you treat children, teenagers, like human beings and people that are equal to you, not only will they listen, they'll participate, and they'll go and they spread the message again.
Well, that's what we want.
And that's what we want. That's what I'm saying. I love the idea of trying to do it through schools, but also not to discredit teachers. Teachers also have the opportunity to bring this up at any point they want. The current situation, what topic does Palestine not interfere with? From religion to agriculture to human rights to animal rights to anything, it's society and culture classes in English and history, any topic you can think of, Palestine could be brought up. And that is where we need teachers that are aware, teachers like the Teachers for Palestine that are coming together and putting plans together and saying, how do we take this message back to our students if the system is not allowing us?
Maybe there's also a way that children can get extra credit or in certain schools if they were to participate in outside activity or outside courses.
Yeah.
Where this could be one of them, Obviously, whoever's going to teach such a course, like Palestinian history or whatever, it would have to be somebody with a degree in teaching. Like you and I know a lot, but that doesn't mean we know how to influence and teach it in a way that a system can. I think that will be definitely something to investigate in order to be able to implement it, because we need this now more than ever, especially with the ridiculousness that's going on in the world. If you're going to have an amount of stupidity and ridiculousness behavior, then we need to balance it with common sense and knowledge.
Yeah.
All right. Otherwise,
look, before I got fired from my job because I had a Zionist boss, I had kids coming up to me because I have on my laptop and like my bags and whatever, like free Palestine stickers and the watermelon stickers and whatever. And I had an 8-year-old come up to me and she goes, "Oh, like free Palestine. I keep seeing it on the internet. What is this?" And her mum was with her. Out to the mum, I had a curfew and I was like, I am 100% biased, and I'm letting you know this. But if she's asking me, what can I tell her? She goes to me, I don't know anything. You probably know more than me. Let her know. So I was not going to tell an 8-year-old, here are the capitalist reasons.
Yeah, no, you can't.
I said to her, there are kids your age on the other side of the world in Palestine that are going through really rough times. And this is to show support and to let people know that we support them. And just because you have access to human rights and education here doesn't mean that they can't.
And that reminds me, because you said watermelon.
That's simple.
This just in, watermelon now has become the first anti-Semitic fruit. All right? It hates Israel, apparently.
But that's what I'm saying. These kids, there are kids that are, they're on the internet, they're from their families, from their friends, from TikTok. They are aware, they hear things. And if we don't give them a space where they can come and ask questions freely, we have people that are educated, actual Palestinians, people with degrees, education degrees, that can easily explain it to them. And if you can't explain the genocide to an 8-year-old, maybe we should also work on our articulation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Like we need this conversation with an 18-year-old in year 12. Yeah. That would be fine, obviously. Yeah. But to an 8-year-old, that's a different approaches.
You know, we need to organize, and I don't think it should just be Palestinian studies. I think Palestinian studies is a definitely great first step, but we should also be teaching things that they are taking away from the curriculum or they are disproving. Like, I honestly believe Black American history is very important. Yeah. Even though we're living in Australia, I don't care. It's still very important. Palestinian history, definitely. Even the so-called history of Israel. All right. Just so if you're going to hear one story, you have to hear the other side. Yeah. And this way, the students or whoever's taking the class can understand both sides. Yeah. And they can make their own determination, because that's what it's all about. We should give what they've been depriving in a massive way. And if you guys have any knowledge on how to get such an organization started, if there are any teachers amongst you or any historical enthusiasts among you, please don't hesitate to comment or direct message me so we can try to get this going. I mean, if you want to feel like you want to do something to participate and make a positive change, then I welcome anyone who is willing to do that. Because as you can see, for those who are watching, it's always me and Malak. We would like to have somebody else too. You know, I mean, you might be afraid from your jobs, but if there's a certain topic that you can't talk about, just tell me and we won't talk about it. But get your ass here, because I know some of you have got something to say. Malak, I want to thank you again for being my occurring guest, and I hope to see you again next week or whenever it is. And always be sure to check me out on my Instagram page, which is at Fame Film Agency, and on my YouTube, which is at Majid and Dairy, and also visit Malak's Instagram page. She's an artist, you know. She's just more than just a political talker and an activist. She is a very talented artist. I've been seeing your videos. Keep it up.
Thank you.
And I hope you join us for another episode of The Magic Hour. Until then, take care.